Mario, would you be kind enough to get a roll call of the members present, please? I'm here. Here.
Here.
Here. Here. Here. Thank you very much. Well, here we are again. Second reading, Highway General, 1176.
Evening, everyone.
How are you?
Well,
We've had an increase on the medical, is that right?
And FICA. And PERF.
Okay.
That's it? No, there's some other.
Looks like we've got our lease purchases up, too, is that right? Why is the lease purchase up? What's changed?
bought 5 new trucks.
That'll do it. So the bottom line number right now is 2.584045.80 on the proposed budget. What's your pleasure with this?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, can I get a roll call, please?
Yeah.
Councilmember Conover?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Graham?
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen?
Yes.
Councilmember Papera?
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas?
Yes.
Councilmember Whitten?
Yes.
7
Highway Admin, 1176. Looks like it's just a little bit up. What's your pleasure with 359,433?
Move to approve.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion?
David, what's causing the slight increase? Is it up?
A little bit.
No.
No,
No, it's not up.
no, it's not up. It's still 3, it should be 312, right?
Never mind.
Yeah, okay.
What am I looking at different then? Because the one I have it has it up a little bit.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You have,
So we adopt, what's the,
proposals up a couple thousand.
I'm looking, oh, I see.
Printing net, 3,000.
Yeah, David, it's up.
is that, what's,
Slightly.
Actually,
it said training and ed has another 3,000. I mean, am I looking at something different? And it looks like disposal is up another 2,000.
Yeah,
So
that's
so
what we're
disposal
looking
did go up because our rates went up for getting rid of waste.
at. Okay.
Right.
We're training in ed.
We ran short last year, or this year, for the 2 conferences. Road school, and we go to the commissioners' conference.
This isn't the general fund budget anyway, is
No,
it?
none of the things you're looking at tonight are general.
That's right.
Well, how much did you run short? You've more than doubled it here.
In training and ed.
Yeah.
That's salaries.
You didn't run that short, did you?
That's a good point.
I think it was $750, wasn't it? Something like that.
So if we give you an extra 1,000?
Whatever works.
All right.
I'll be back.
All right.
Well, I have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion?
What, the salaries, it shows 319?
I don't know what she did here when I looked at this final version. It should be 312. Okay, we didn't go up anything.
So, Vicki,
If you add those over here, it's the same amount of money, it's still 312.
So this year's budget, 2015, was 312, and next year should be the same.
well, it looks like what she did was she added $1,000 on them.
Is there raises in there?
No, this year's was 319.
This year's was 319? This year's was 319, that's right. This is
That's because he
the
submitted the
the
same
three-
144 as last year, no changes.
Right,
That's
no
where-
changes.
So what we're looking at is correct.
Correct, yes ma'am, sorry.
Yeah,
No
all right,
problem.
so,
No problem.
any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Highway Maintenance, 1176. up on calcium chloride, down on bituminous.
I'll make a motion,
1.939898.40, is that your motion, Sylvia?
yes,
Is there a second? I'll second it. Discussion.
okay.
Any discussion?
Your overtime is, up, 20 grand.
Because we always come back after the first of the year.
Yeah, you do.
Trying to buff that. Hopefully, it's going to be a mild winter, according to my weather
Oh,
guy.
please, Lord. Okay.
Any other questions about this? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Highway LRS 1169. Few changes. The big number's $1 million.
Make the motion.
Second.
Motion and second on the floor for $1 million. Any discussion?
Looks like you're messing around with what you're gonna put on the roads.
Hopefully no snow.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, keep hoping.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Highway Cume Bridge, 1135. 485.
Move to approve.
The motion on the floor, and with a second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Major moves, 1.150.
Move to approve.
Is that what we talked about the other day?
No,
No.
that's what they're utilizing.
That's right.
Does this have to be increased because of major moves? I mean, is that the category it's in?
This is for,
I know what this is for, but if we want to use it, do we have to do this budget, increase this budget?
Right, 880,000 was it?
already doing
I
additional.
forget what we...
I mean, it's got to go to somewhere.
We pulled, yeah, yes, we reduced when the commissioners here, but is that this?
That's what you talked about.
Vote to seat it. And that was $880,000.
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
So if you pulled that, I was told that you'd possibly make it up through major moves.
yes, that's the answer.
But do we need to increase the budget here to that now?
That's my-
Or do you want me to come back at
This
it?
is not the increased figure?
No, sir. No, this is what I've been
Can,
saying every year,
hold on a
is
second. Hold on.
1.15.
Can we, Vicki? I don't think we can do that much.
You can go up to what was advertised, but we only advertised $1,265,000.
So we'll just have to do it with an additional.
When you, yeah, when
Well, okay, we can do additional, okay, right.
That'd be
You
fine.
can go up to that amount now if you want.
The 1.2, I mean, it doesn't,
We'll just have to do an additional,
yeah, we'll just deal with it with an additional.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, so we have a motion on the floor, 1.150,
yes.
and the second, any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Highway overweight. I won't do it, McClure, I won't do it. Vehicle fund.
Move to approve.
35,000, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Yes.
Second, discussion.
How much have you raised?
How much is there?
How much have you raised, in this fund?
There is 40,000, I believe, in it now, in my part of it. And we're going to use it for, like, cold mix,
Okay.
buy patch with it. Get set the line item up for it. That's the plan, anyway.
All right, any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Let's shut up the West Porter Township Fire Protection.
You want to get in the county council? Oh,
Not just yet.
my chops.
Hopefully we'll wait till everyone's gone before we talk about what we're doing.
Good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
Well, I'm fine. First of all, I want to thank Dan for responding to my request.
Oh, yeah, no problem, yeah. I was kind of,
Thank you.
Just paid handsomely for that.
yeah, sure. I actually
Don't
tend
truck drivers get paid for like park time?
Waiting time for us.
All right,
This is one of those entities, because it's an appointed board,
right.
in the wisdom of our legislature.
Is that sarcasm?
Never. Jeremy, I would never do that.
We have-
You then are responsible, we work with the auditor to turn the figures in from our perspective. You have already conducted your public hearing.
Yep.
You handle it much like any other department of county government, I guess. So we're here to answer any questions you may have, hopefully seek and secure your approval. This is not a non-binding recommendation, this is a...
Motion to approve.
Second. A motion, a couple seconds at $113,560, I believe is what's in front of us. Any further discussion?
I'm not gonna enter the business until I'm gonna run their fires.
Thank you.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, bring up the cum. West Porter Township Fire Cumulative.
Move.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a second, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That'll do it.
Thank you.
All right.
Is there anything else we have to do?
Yeah, you need, Dave,
Turn all this.
Dave, you need to sit down and wait till the end of the meeting, she'll tell you what you need to do.
We still have to vote.
He was and he always is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
All right, have a good evening, thanks. Plan Commission, 1180.
It's been such a long break, I don't, forget where the fight was.
Well, we'll find it, don't you worry. Now, we had to talk about the Plan Commission a little bit because we did some things that would affect the Plan Commission, so
And I think
let's talk.
Bob's ready.
Very silent on it.
Seems happy with those.
Pull that, how's that fund doing? Pull that fund up. $79,000. All right? Started the year at 71, and we're at 79 now? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that correct?
So let's talk a little bit about what we were gonna talk about when we got the Plan Commission budget. What did we do to this budget?
We moved,
Move the GIS guy in.
I know what we did. What's the dollar amount that we did this budget?
$45,000 for the salary plus benefits on that, so you're looking at an additional $17,800 or whatever it is for the medical, plus all the FICA and everything else on it, so you're probably looking at going up $75,000 additional.
Did you, Vicki, is that a right recitation of the numbers?
Yes, but I had 43 for the GIS, not 45.
Okay, well, all right, that's probably not gonna be...
Roughly $75,000 additional, possibly.
Okay, and so that,
But you have raised your fees, correct?
go back to leave the budget up for a second, how it's doing this year, Vicki. Pull it back up, if you would.
Budget.
Yeah, the fund,
Okay,
yeah.
that's the revenue that was brought in so far this year, should go back to the fund, the revenue.
So the revenue that you pull in, does it fluctuate throughout the year, I assume, or is it fairly consistent? What do we have?
It has been fairly consistent this year because of the fact that since 2014, I have cut four full-time employees. It's the only reason why it's been staying consistent.
No, but how does that affect the revenue? You're cutting employees, how does you cutting employees affect the revenue? I mean, I understand it might affect the balance, I'm asking about the money coming in, and we'll get back to the money going.
To give you an idea as far as, I mean, our main item that we bring in as far as funding comes from single-family permits.
Okay.
Single-family home permits.
Yes.
It's down, still is. I have a chart here on it. In 2013, we only issued 185. 2014, we issued 188. Now go back and look at 2005, we issued over 600. Basically, in the 90s, we averaged about 450.
Vicki, can you tell us how much revenue they brought in 2014? Give us a number. So, all right, so in 14, you brought in a total of 450, 655. It seems like so far this year, you brought in 380 some, is that right? So we're running fairly consistent to close to, if not right on, to 14's number. So it looks like that's staying fairly, so we can kind of think in terms of 450. And then how much has gone out so far this year, Vicki?
So $378,629.
His fund, oh, yeah. How much does this fund have in it right now? So you've spent out about what you brought in. Okay, what's sort of, you have a balance, 246,584, why is that?
Yeah,
That's just the appropriation, that's not the actual balance, that was 71,000?
70, what was it, 79? We have to go back.
Yeah, we started at 71, and we're at 79 now, okay.
Yeah, 79.
So, there's really not a lot of extra here, maybe $70,000 that he started the year with, and that's if his revenue runs exactly the same as his debits. I don't know that that's the case. What are your total debits at 458, credits 378? They're not, how is that?
Yeah, well, that includes the beginning balance too.
Okay, oh, I got you. All right, so that carries that over. So they are running just about, all right. That's my questions. Questions you guys have?
It's gonna be awful close.
It would seem so. Did you up your fees?
I did, and they're proposed to go up on January 1st, based off of the single-family home permits. The past couple of years, it's say 180. Single-family home permits, if we had 180, and I can probably bring in about 75,000 with the projection. The new fee
Why is
increase.
it just
Commercial did go up too,
single-family?
commercial is probably
We're not.
We're not hurting ourselves by increasing those fees, are we? Are we discouraging?
No, as far as building permit fees, we haven't really raised them since 2004, so.
Since 2004?
Yeah, I mean, time was due. Because we've had to step up with a few other additional use permits and stuff.
So what would be the new number to this fund with what we projected to do before, Vicki? What would be the new number here?
Okay, well, we would add the, I guess, 43,000 for the salary. The 322,734
Okay.
for the salary line item. We would have to amend FICA and CURF. You've got the numbers? Hey, Bob, your medical, do you have your entire staff on insurance? No. How many do you have?
You'd have to add one.
Yeah, of what, 5 full-time, and only 4 taking benefits. I do have 6 full-time listed on the budget, but 1 is not filled.
That's your thought.
And 1 filled position does not take medical, so I only have 4.
So with this change, you would have 5.
And with your proposed, I mean, let's just assume that the numbers continue to run in 16, like, as far as permits, like they did in 15 and apparently 14. With your increased fee, how much more then would you anticipate coming in for revenue, just based upon the increased fee?
Single-family homes, like I said, it's going to be 75,000 based off across the board. I'm hoping that would be the minimum amount, but I don't see where we would probably bring in more than 125.
Okay. Okay. So, what's your pleasure here? What would the new number be, Vicki? Bottom line?
651,519.
What's your pleasure with this budget?
Move to approve.
$651,519.11. There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? Go ahead.
Where have you,
Things don't work out, I got to state this one. GIS is not an essential function for my office sorry.
No, don't be sorry. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear your perspective on what we are proposing to do.
I mean, I gotta put that out, so.
I don't know if the GIS salary obviously is gonna strain his budget, which is fee-based. I don't know if the other departments shouldn't share the cost of the GIS guy at some level. Everybody uses him, the department, whatever word you want to use. I don't know if, and I gotta circle back to Vicky's number, she tosses in $15,000 in the pot, the assessor tosses $15,000 in out of his reassessment fund, and everybody helps him pay for that, because he is right. I mean, I sit on the plan commission, the GIS is not essential to what he does, but they wanted it under his control because of the whole big picture, MS4, the whole bit's all gonna be in his lap.
I do use GIS, I'll be honest, but I will say I am just a percentage of his work.
What percentage do you think you are, just out of curiosity?
Right now, small. Stormwater is taking a lot. I know there's other departments that can come up and talk to them. I mean, as far as that goes, I mean, I would like to get him to do the zoning map for me, on that, but he's got other duties right now that need to go forward on that. So, I mean, there are jobs, I mean, I could, with that, venture to say 25%.
So what are you thinking about?
I'm gonna, if we leave it alone, at the first of the year, maybe the auditor puts in an additional or a transfer, whatever you wanna call it, the assessor does the same thing to feed his pot.
Well, how would we?
And stormwater.
Well, the solar, of course, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can make it till June.
Well, if you can,
Well, we have a couple of programs that are similar to this, where individual department putting the bill for all of it, but several departments are utilizing it. So it's something we need to...
Many years ago, we worked real hard to get him out of the general fund, living on fees and things were good, and everybody now, it's getting down to crunch time, and can't expect him to eat the whole enchilada, just a little piece of it.
I agree.
Well, I mean, do you want to address that now, or do you want to wait and just have somebody, address it after the first of the year by way of transfers, additional...
Well, I mean, we're so far into the budget process, I thought, to go back and change everybody's budget, I just thought, unless you guys want to do it, now, it don't matter to me, I just thought...
Scott, you're getting ready to say...
Who's everybody? How many are we talking?
The minimum is...
Hold on a minute. Scott, you were getting ready to say something?
Yeah, I would suggest we wait and see how things pan out with the stormwater. See where that heads in that direction, and I think we'll have a much better handle on things, and probably address it after the first of the year.
I agree.
At that point.
All right, Bob,
That's right, absolutely, I won't lose sight of it, because he'll call me.
all right. And really,
Yeah, I mean, my goal, January 1st with this budget, was to come in and have another full-time person. I really need a full-time person. Right now, it's part-time, and it's difficult to, I gotta pull other people from other jobs to take care of the counter work and stuff, and I really need that person.
why don't you come back to us after the first of the year with your proposal for a full-time person? We'll try to calculate what that's going to cost this fund, and we'll try to gather up some money from other budgets to make that work.
But I think this segues into what Commissioner Good said about they're gonna revamp the department to where it's one-stop shopping, for lack of a better word. That's where all this is going eventually.
Okay.
MS4, building, whatever.
So, look, if you have need of a full-time person, we'll address that. We'll address that. If you have
you ever had a full-time person?
I did, and I cut it, but it is one of the cut positions that I really would like to bring back, because I need it to staff that counter.
What did you do with the salary that?
Revenue down.
I don't know.
Why don't we do this, guys? Let me just stop this train. Why don't we leave it like it's 651, 51911, understanding he's going to come back to us the first of the year with a proposal for an additional person, and also understanding that his fees are going up. Let's see how it's rolling. If we need to give this budget a shot in the arm with some shared expense on the GIS, by God, that's what we'll do.
The person I'm talking about,
fine, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah,
We won't short sheet you and, it's fine.
okay.
Where does that put you? Are you gonna hire this person then? I mean, when...
Not on January 1st when the new budget comes in. I'm gonna wait until I know that I am...
Let's see what your revenue stream is.
Which, which is
I
a
have to sit
responsible
back and
thing
see
to do.
what the stream is coming.
Well, I mean, my only thing is, he raised this fee in anticipation of hiring this person, and he raised the fee and we shoved the GIS over there, and we swept up that.
Okay, but we're gonna readdress that with some shared costs with GIS. I wanna see how his additional fee is going, and he's got it already in his budget, let's just see how it's rolling.
Well, and that's fine, I mean, that's why we're here, to take the vote, but I mean, we're doing the budget session, if other people are using it, why don't we just adjust the assessor, why don't we adjust the other people's budget during the budget session?
The end result will be the same. There's an easy way to do it and a hard way to do it. I'm okay either way.
I think we're pretty advanced in the budget, so.
651, 519, 11 cents. Let's get a roll call.
Councilmember Fitch.
Yes.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen.
Yes.
Councilmember Papera.
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas.
Yes.
Councilmember Litton.
Yes.
Councilmember Connell.
Yes.
7-0.
That's good.
Thank you.
Animal shelter. This microphone is doing that.
Okay. I see it.
How's it going this evening?
Great, how are you guys?
Couldn't be better.
We are here.
Yes, we are. All right, so we got this animal shelter budget in front of us. We know that the animal shelter has been a topic of a lot of discussion, where we're at and where we're going and where we want to end up. So, I see that a couple of changes, right off the get. You've got, some increased salaries, but is it that you're taking down one position, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And, what does that do to our bottom line? It actually takes it down a little bit on salaries, is that correct?
Yes,
But you've kicked up the hourly just a shade, so it all washes, for the most part?
yes.
Save us about $300, give or take? That's a game changer. And then, looks like, we got some vet service increases.
Yes.
And at the end of, the day, we're at about $338,973 over $324,239. The increased vet services, budget, not that we don't need it, because I think we do, but why don't you kind of describe a little bit about why the increase?
Well, it's really hard to know what our vet services are gonna be every year.
Right.
It's always up for grabs.
Yeah.
We've had significant amount of hoarding cases this year, as well as a lot of law enforcement holds that have cost us a significant amount of money, probably at least $30,000 to $40,000.
Right.
So I'm trying to alleviate having to come before you guys and waste your time asking for more money. I just think it's $15,000 or so. I think it will help us get us through a little bit more. I'm trying to...
How much have we spent on vet services this year so far? Vicki?
Good point.
I have about $108,000
it was a
so
biggie.
far, between the supplemental fund and the actual
Yeah,
general
let's take a
fund.
look, see at this line item. Yeah, let's start with this one. Yeah, start with the GF, and then we'll get to the other.
$62,557.
All right. So, is 45 gonna get it done?
Well...
In a perfect world, if everything lines up exactly the way you hope?
I think so. I think we've done a lot better with disease in the shelter, because we're doing a lot of more quarantining as the animals come in. So I think that will help. We're trying to, some of the, I can't do anything about hoarding cases and that kind of stuff, because animals come in, they're sick, we've got to treat them, so. I'm just hoping that with reduced disease in the shelter, that it will all even out. At the beginning of this year, it was really high.
How many vets service, how many different vets do you seek service from? Is it just one particular vet, or do you have a bunch that sort of play in?
We have 3 or 4 that we take our animals to on a regular basis, and then all of the vets in Porter County participate in our spay and neuter program, too.
Do the vets, are any of the vet services given for free, or do they all charge?
They all charge.
Reduce charges at all?
Yes, they do reduce the charges, yes.
Okay.
Most of them.
All right. So, what's your pleasure with this budget?
Move to approve.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. Discussion.
Tony, did I see here where the director's salary went up?
Yes.
From what to what?
45 to 60?
45 to 60. And what's that based on?
It is based on the research that I've done as to what directors of shelters in in this area get for doing the job. I think it's worth paying that much for. It's a very difficult job.
I'm sure you do.
Well, even if it's not me, it's still worth doing. You need to get someone in that position that knows what they're doing, and has the ability to network and do the things that need to be done for the shelter. I think in the past, at the $45,000, you weren't getting enough
And the physician's
professional,
taking
yeah.
extra responsibilities
Yeah.
without the number 2 person.
That's true,
doing
too, so.
Did you eliminate a position to make room for that?
They eliminated the assistant director, it looks like.
The position hasn't been filled for a couple of years, so I did eliminate the position, not just for that, but because we're not using it, so.
Well, what my concern is if, we go into a larger shelter, which is the plan, I think everybody has, and we're gonna need more personnel.
I don't know that we'll need more full-time personnel, though.
Thus, the increase to your hourly budget, perhaps, is what you're anticipating? Okay.
I think the other thing that needs to be mentioned here too is that Tony is a registered animal psychologist.
Psychologist? You like a dog whisperer kind of deal?
Behavior.
Oh.
And in most animal shelters that you have an animal director and a behaviorist. And that's very important. When you bring animals in, they're assessed immediately.
Right.
And that determines the functionality of that animal. And from our perspective, we think we're getting sort of 2 for 1. And so that was sort of the other reasoning for the shift in the director's salary too.
Well, we all know that in the last 4 or 5 years, we've gone through, what are you, the 4th or 5th director? 4th?
Who's keeping count anymore?
No, it's more than 3. But it's, at the same time, we know something needs to improve there. And I'm willing to take a chance on 60 if, the rest of everybody else is. But I hope we see an improvement.
I think we already have.
Yeah. I think we have to. But 60, it catches my eye in context with the rest of the county and what we pay our department heads or, other people. I'd have to really look at that a little closer, looking back.
Besides your budget, or your raise, was there any other raises in?
Yes.
Yeah, they're bringing up a couple of
The other managers are going up a little bit, yeah.
31, 516 to 35, and 31, 250 to 33, to be exact.
Well, it is on the high side, but I do realize that the circumstances over there are really special. You're dealing with live animals.
And we really want to, as we move into a new shelter, we really want, I didn't mean to cut you off, Jim, I don't know if you were done, but, no, you are. A couple things. One is, we all know that, we've said a long time we wanted to increase our salaries for our county workers. We know that they are on the low end of the market. So some of the department heads have taken the initiative to either reduce positions or cut positions to try to, without increasing their budget, interpolate into next year's budget a raise for their employees that doesn't increase the budget to the taxpayers. And as they take a full-time person off the docket, that we all know that has the potential savings of health insurance. I like the concept of doing that. I think that's exactly what they should be doing. They should be evaluating the staff needs that they have, and if there's some attrition and they don't need to replace somebody because they can increase the workload to who's left and help with increasing those salaries, that sounds like a pretty good management approach to me.
I'm just saying, I'll support it. But this year, we can expect that things are going to
continue to improve.
Continue is the word.
Jeremy?
I'm going to be ushering us into a new building.
That's right. Jeremy?
Hopefully sooner than later.
Jeremy?
We're excited to go. This is twofold. Have we not cut out all raises at this point in time, and it's something we're going to address Thursday? And I understand this is a bit different, but everybody can say yes.
But we're gonna have some others coming down the pike.
Well, this isn't really, I don't
This is
consider this
eliminating
a
the
raise.
full-time position.
I mean, it's the position's just now being filled with a full-time director, and one of you said it, I mean, if we're going to expect things over there to drastically improve, we're going to need somebody with the proper background and academia.
Sylvia, did you have something you wanted to add? I'm sorry, Jim.
Thank you. I'm just kind of wondering with Jeremy, we haven't really addressed up to this point other raises for other people. We have two here that we're raising now.
Would you feel more comfortable addressing this with the other ones on Thursday? Would that make you guys feel a little like continuity here?
Consistency,
I mean, I'm not opposed to that idea. I will eventually vote for this, but if you want to address it on Thursday with the others, that's okay with me.
If this goes through as presented, I would vote no, because of automatic raises. We're gonna address raises,
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I want you to take out all the raises.
I'm okay with the director. I mean, I think everybody agrees that if you want somebody, you're gonna have to get up there.
All right, well, just for fun.
I support it. I've never been a big fan of cross-the-board raises anyway. I'd support it.
So just for fun, Vicki, leave
Merit, guys.
the increase to the director in there, take the other increases out, put them on our list to address Thursday as particular. And what does that do to the bottom line?
A point of order while we're adding that up,
Oh.
we need a rate for the kennel technician. Right now, the hourly rate is $15 an hour. You want to just keep it at that rate.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
You're increasing the total amount, but keep the rate. Okay, we need it for the salary.
Right, that's fine, keep it the same, Vicki, and then give us the new, and then you can go back and tell your staff that you got a raise and they didn't.
You don't tell me, we got Thursday's coming.
Total is $334,739.
New number 334-739, what is your pleasure with that? We have a motion, I'll second it. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Tony, are you the new director? Is it interim, or is it?
She's the director now.
$60,000, man.
Boy.
I'll see January.
All right, so,
Well, wait a minute.
yeah.
I'm basing my vote on that you're going to be the new director.
Yes.
Okay? All right, thank you.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Yeah,
Animal Shelter 4008.
I appreciate the work that you do.
That stayed the same, right? What's your pleasure with the supplemental? We have a motion, is there a second?
Yeah, second.
Second, discussion.
I have a question.
Sure.
So the supplemental, I need clarification. So what is the supplemental? What goes into that? What revenue is supplemental?
The fees that you bring in.
That's our,
This is all fees, the adoption fees that we bring in, this is the supplemental, so we're pulling in about $60,000 a year.
Where are we? What's the budget look like? What does the fund look like? Go on,
You
Jeremy.
want the fund?
Yeah, pull up how we're doing this year.
Donation fund, where is that at? Because we,
Right. They don't have a budget for their donation funds, like maybe the sheriff has a budget for his donation
Right.
fund. When they need money from the donation fund, they come to you for an additional appropriation. And they've been trying
without a budget,
to
yeah.
wait for them to show.
Pull up this fund, please, Vicki. All right, so we've already, we started at 34, we're at 23 now, 70 is gone. We started at 34, we're at 22,776 now. So, do you think 69,000 has come out already?
No, 46 came out.
Now, the beginning balance was 34,000.
Go back to its credits, man. I think
I think we spent 46.
46,
All right.
that much. So I think the 50,000 is probably a real number.
Yeah, so it might be okay.
What is the adoption fee, just for curiosity?
$100 for dogs and $50 for cats.
Is our adoptions up, down, compared to recent years?
Compared to Portage, for example. How's our adoption rate?
Really? How does that compare with other communities?
They're probably holding steady. I wouldn't say they're up or down.
Is that fee reflective of the area, or is it?
It's actually lower than a lot of the rescues, but probably about average for a shelter.
Should it be $150 for dogs and $3 for cats?
That's totally cool, man.
Huh?
Dan has a cat.
I have 2 cats.
Make it a penny? We'll pay them?
Does that include, like if I adopt a female dog, does that include spade?
Yes.
Okay, so you're getting the pet plus the medical that
We've had those shots.
We do some of the shots. We can't do rabies. But we do distemper and all those shots for the animal when it comes into our shelter.
Okay.
When it's adopted, either we have the animal spayed or neutered while it's in the shelter, or it can be spayed or neutered after it's adopted. We pay for that. And then we pay for, the vaccines,
Okay.
and sometimes the rabies.
And I anticipate as we move forward on the new shelter, I mean, we're gonna have to revisit this budget. Look
Oh,
at
yeah.
your operating expenses, all that stuff anyway. I mean, the other budget, both budgets, really. All right, so what's your pleasure with the 60,000?
Have a motion.
We have a motion, is there a second? And a second. Any further discussion? None, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Have a good evening. Congratulations on renewing your employment.
She seems real excited.
Do you realize that was a 5-year contract you signed? Memorial Opera House.
It's implied. Well, the attorney said to me, look at it. Nod your head, Scott. See?
Okay, so, what to do? Memorial Opera House, we got a little bit increase built in there, looks like. Sure.
Hello, our new director, and this is Natalie Klobuchar.
All right, hey, nice meeting you.
I'm the guy she talks about.
Unlike, really, I don't know if you can limit that to just 1 or 2 people.
I read every name, and I didn't hear not one in a negative tone, so that's a good thing.
Then you ain't been listening.
Oh, no, I listened.
Okay, so, it looks like, how are things going over at the Memorial? I mean, you're new, so, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Go back to that screen, please. How are things going, at the Memorial Opera House? When's the next show?
The next show is our Christmas show. It opens in November, the end of November, and things are going well this year.
Okay.
And we hope that continues, and we believe that it will. We let our patrons pick our next season, so we're hoping that even looks brighter for us.
They were doing some cool stuff next year, right? The Wizard of Oz and...
Mhm.
And a couple other things of note, so that's pretty cool. What's your pleasure with this budget?
One thing that you're not seeing, the money that's in their bank account when people do the credit card sales, and then at the end they do the, report collections and transfer the money to the county, and there's $40,000 in there, I think it's 40, is it 40? $44,000 there that come October 31st will be moved over into this fund.
Pull that fund up again real quick, Vicki.
Where is that being held?
Horizon Bank.
And they just send that on occasion, or what's the
At the
program?
end of every month, they do a report of collections, so they have, money that they have to pay the state to.
And you just finished the show, right? Addams Family, correct?
When they do that, they bring a deposit over here.
Okay. So when, the budget has gone up slightly. The budget has gone up just slightly. So that's last year's.
Staying above water all year, all this year.
So what's causing the increase? Is it FICA?
2 raises.
No, there's a couple raises.
No, it's FICA.
We already approved the 41,000 for the,
That's what, yeah.
we may already increase that. All right.
Yeah, I don't know when it shows that.
I know, that's weird how they did that.
FICA, for some reason.
There you go, thank you. So there's no raises in here?
No.
No.
Okay.
Just like you said, Laura, it's FICA and,
Move to approve.
We have a motion on the floor, is there a second? I'll second it.
I see 32, 33.
Well, that's wrong. That's what I was looking at, that's wrong. It's actually already 41 and 33, according to what's in front of us.
Currently, it is.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I did, that's why I was confused, because what we have in front of us shows current 40,
Here, and then
proposed 41, so that threw us off a little bit. On our hard copies. So I'm not really sure, who knows, man. So, any other discussion on this?
what, Vicki?
No, we're gonna change this next year, but this is another case where departments submitted the exact same 144 as last year, so no changes. So last year, in 2000 and the year before, were the lower salaries. Currently, it is in fact 41 and 30.
That's right, that's right. All right, so, same answer as before. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The show must go on. Welcome aboard, nice meeting you both.
Yeah, good luck.
Expo Center. Oh, my goodness gracious.
You gonna be okay?
Doctor in the house, doctor in the house.
Okay.
We see that movie Contagion or something?
Beard's turning yellow, mustache. Hi.
Okay, so let's have a little look-see here. Looks like start with the overall numbers. Went from, am I right? It went from 450 to 445, is that correct?
Correct.
And then, salaries, are those the same? It looks like they went down a little bit. Why is that?
We eliminated a position.
Okay, all right, so far so good. I like where this is headed. Any other, what's your pleasure? There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Discussion?
Yeah, I was out at the Expo Center 2 weeks ago for the chamber, and over the years, you know, I just like everybody else up here, I've been in and out of there a lot, and I'm not criticizing any past directors, but it was impressive to see you hustling like you did. That's something I'm just not used to seeing out there.
Busy night.
So if we were to just as an aside, if by some chance, when we brought the tourism board back up, if more money were to go to the expo center, where would that go? What would you do with it?
Well, hopefully, we wouldn't have to spend it on all the repairs that we've been doing, and the budget for this year doesn't yet show it, but the commissioners have been kind enough to help us out on quite a few things this year. So hopefully, we'd get new carpet, new chairs.
Yeah, it needs it.
I would invite you all to come take a walk. Right now, the carpet is horrendous. Our shampooer broke, so we're actually on the agenda tomorrow to get a new shampooer. It's pretty bad.
Tell them how many pipes are broken this year.
4 underground that were not human error.
And the entire, the bathrooms need to
Yeah.
be...
Right.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is you could really use the
Yeah,
additional...
pretty much so. We're doing what we can internally to get a rein on the expenses, but when you have things breaking nonstop, it's been kind of hard.
Okay.
We've done sort of a deep dive in what Jim was talking about, of bathrooms, exterior, sense of arrival, when you come up to it, carpet, wall vinyl. We're probably looking at, from a capital outlay standpoint, and I know we talked about CEDA, and I'm not pitching for this, I'm just saying, we have about $1.5 million to $2 million investment out there that we need to put in the expo to get it to where it's,
Attractive.
attractive. And I
Where we
think
can sell it again. I mean, it's hard to sell that facility.
We're gonna sell the expo center?
No.
To clients.
Go on, Bob. I think you'll see the revenues, at that point, that's when you adjust your rates, what you're charging for. And
Okay.
I think you'll see an increase in revenue.
I do too.
Which will also help your expenses too.
Yeah, I think it's-
I'm not advocating for that, because I know everything's tight right now, but we have done some,
Well, let's see if we can't get some money out of the tourism, and then let's see if we can't address some of those things as things move forward. So what's your,
Can I make a, well, let's get through this.
yeah, all in favor of the 445, signify by saying aye.
And we're gonna, and we're gonna get money out of the tourism.
Yes, we are. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Dan, if I may, before the commissioners, we understand, I think we've understand that all of our buildings are in
Right, they're
need
aging.
of attention. And with the foundation that you guys are gonna approve tomorrow with the money, and we're going to get this thing going, and as the money starts coming in, I really think it's critical that we have a plan moving forward so that we can systematically begin to fix all of our assets. You know, that we have a plan, that we know each year, if we're bringing in X amount of millions of dollars, we know in year 1 we're doing this, year 2 we're doing that,
Part of, and that's a good point, because part of what I thought we would discuss at the foundation level was kind of philosophically, monies we'd like to see on a yearly basis toward capital improvements and maybe capital, construction, like animal shelters, things like that. So there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to identify and budget for that.
well, I look forward to getting the foundation started, and I would also, once we get the foundation started, I would like to move towards some working groups, sessions with everybody, all 10 people, to where we can start creating a roadmap for this type of thing. And we're gonna need everybody's input here. We're getting more and more familiar with all of our buildings, and we're gonna be coming before you tomorrow for an HR position, or not an HR position, but changing a job description for a building person, and that's all part of this bigger picture that we're looking at.
Well, and sort of in the short run, Jeff, just to let you know, Scott and I have been talking with the consultant that we hired, or that we were going to be hiring, who, they're just simply waiting for the ordinances to get passed, and my thought was that Scott, in a small group, Scott, myself, Councilman Jessen, and you, I think is what we're talking about, would get together, we'll have a conversation with the consultants, hit the ground running, this is what we anticipate with bylaws and investment policies, and boom, so we can sort of handle a lot of that grunt work, bring it back to the group, but I certainly would applaud the thought of having some work sessions on strategizing that next phase.
We have some that are urgent, we have some that we could phase in over time.
Are you talking about developing a comprehensive operations plan?
Well, I don't know about an operations plan, because you got 38 different departments,
Right.
elected official budget, but from a capital expenditure plan, I think that's what you'd probably be referring to, is that, yeah, I think that every building that we have in county government should have a 5-year CapEx plan attached to it. I mean, we do in our hotel business, so I don't know why you can't do, the buildings are different,
Right.
so it's gonna take a little more time, but it can be done.
Okay. Yeah, we'll keep plowing forward on that. I think that's perfect. Yep. So, very good. Thank you very much. EMA, 1047, general fund. Next one, sir. Looks like this budget is, the bottom line the same.
Motion to approve.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
And a couple of seconds, discussion?
Salaries went up?
Salaries went up?
10,000?
No, we already raised that, I think he's just, I think that's the same. I think it's the same situation, where we actually increased that mid-year, I think.
When did we do that?
One to part-time,
Yeah,
and
we
the
got
other
that.
to full.
Right.
Remember that? All right, there's a motion second on the floor, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. MPC 1152, not a general fund budget, but it looks like it's down a little bit. 85 what's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
And a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Has substance. 1221, again, not a general fund budget. Looks like it's pretty much the same.
Move to
There you have it. Motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
And a second, any discussion? No, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Airport. Yeah, let's come right along. Right for fire. Yeah, it's next. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, good.
Appreciate it. I've asked the airport, when they come in front of us tonight, to give us a little bit of a presentation on what they've been doing and what some proposals might be for some things that they'd like to do, to kind of give us an idea of where the airport would like to be headed and where it's at now and some of the functions they're doing and what they'd like to increase, what services they'd like to increase, et cetera, et cetera. So that is what we are going to do here tonight. So, why don't you go with what's been happening, what you'd like to see happen, and we'll kind of double back around to the budgets.
Okay. We've, really, I think, last time we left from the budget hearings, we talked about a challenge that the airport had with upcoming project, the reconstruction of our primary runway.
Sure.
The fact that we're going to be working towards an RDA grant, and we've been very, very active over the last year to bring that about. Just give you a little bit of history on the importance of the runway project. We can really start with the identified problem that got our board talking about looking at a reconstruction of that runway rather than just a rehabilitation of mill and overlay.
Right.
The 6,000 feet of the original 7,000, or 6,000 feet of the original runway was built in 1966. 1999.
So was I. I was built in
1999, we extended that by 1,000 feet. But from that original placement of the runway only lasted 17 years. The FAA looks to having pavement designs for 20 years or better.
Okay.
For whatever reason, we didn't make that. So at the 83 overlay that went on, it was a rehabilitation program. And for the most part, just a mill and overlay at that time, using, as I'll note now, recycled materials. The materials that were coming off US Highway 30 were remixed to an FAA specification and placed on the airport. So we didn't really have virgin materials at that point in time. We had recycled materials at that first overlay.
Okay.
1999, we have a condition again where the runway is in very poor condition, only going 16 years now into its second rehabilitation program. We're going the wrong way on the length of longevity of that pavement.
Right.
At that point in time, FAA specifications allow slag to be used as a mix. So the surface associated with that runway overlay and the extension of the runway at that time in 1999 used slag as a hot mix asphalt. And coming up to about a 15-year period, bringing us to present time, we have a condition that is just as bad or worse. Again, reducing in longevity by 1 year.
Okay.
Just to give a little bit further background, in '83, at that first overlay, the crown of the airport runway disappeared. That crown became a valley. So the airport had to place approximately 12 to 16 inches of blacktop in lifts along that crown to reconstruct it. So that gives us a very, very thick pavement in a bunch of different lifts that go up from the subgrade to the surface of the environment right now. When you have a flexible pavement like bituminous, it's always moving. So any crack in any lift can migrate itself up to the top of the surface. And that is really the situation that we've been fighting here in the last two rehabilitations. Massive cracking, not lasting a 20-year useful life. So with those questions, the board, in doing due diligence, asked, what is the problem? So we actually took some time and did some investigation, some very new technology type investigation as to what is causing the cracking. Is it a subgrade problem? Is it a materials problem? That started with a mobile mapping of the entire runway system. The mobile mapping was very, very unique in the fact that I can't call it an infinite amount of data points, but it is a very large finite amount of data points that actually gave a very good picture orientation and also a CAD orientation of where all the cracks were and really a count to the linear footage of cracks that we had, and that approaches 200,000 feet of linear cracks. The problem that has is as you have a crack, you get what we call FOD, foreign object debris. Those stones separate from the bituminous mix and become a hazard for the aircraft on the runway because if a wheel kicks up that stone into an engine, you have the capability of taking that engine out and having an in-flight emergency.
So kind of get to that, I don't mean to get us to what you want to do.
Well, I guess what got us looking at that is the decision, should we reconstruct it at a higher cost or do another rehabilitation and see it decrease in longevity by another year? We brought stakeholders to the table, not only our consultants, but some experts that they brought in with the FAA and the state who are the current stakeholders with our airport improvement program funding. Normally 90% of all of our projects are federally funded, 5% state, and 5% local. When you look at the size of the project that's before us, just to give you an understanding of it, we're going to be 92% of the federal funding just for this project is what we've collected in federal funding since 1983. So a very, very large project, very large scope and size, and really had us looking for alternatives and other stakeholders to help us with that. And that kind of is what brings us here this evening. We've had a lot of different engineers, a lot of different experts look and agree that the runway requires reconstruction and not rehabilitation.
What's the cost of the reconstruction?
It was originally estimated at a $12.6 million program. We've actually been able to get some FAA funding. That was even a large amount for the FAA and the state to look at in one project.
Right.
So we looked at doing that project over a course of, right now, 3 budget years, and if we're successful with this last round of funding, 2 construction seasons. And in the first 2 bid rounds that we've had, we've seen very, very good bids. So we were going from about a $12.6 million program, and if you look on the drawing that I gave you in the table section there, you can see what the total phase cost, $11.3 million. So we've come down about $1.3 million in 2 rounds of bidding already.
Yeah, the top 3 numbers are all solid numbers. The one associated with the purple there is, that'll be the last phase that hasn't been bid.
All right. So what about, if you're close, and we're at about 11.384.
Yep.
And this is the total, this is the reconstruction of the runway.
Yeah.
Does that extend the runway at all, or just
Our master plan has plans for a 500-foot extension of that runway,
Yeah.
I believe in 2020, but it does not
Doesn't include
do
that.
anything but just,
Okay.
rehabilitate it from a reconstructed standpoint.
And so then, of the 11.384 and change, of that, you are anticipating how much to be federal versus RDA versus, just break it out.
Well, the bottom lines on that map, Dan would summarize it. It's got the project total, the federal is the 10.2,
Right.
and then the state share, if it stays at 5%, is 5.5, although, or did you lower that? Their programming's gonna be different next year. It's actually starred there, and, right now, those are the numbers, looking at the worst-case scenario of state funding. Normally, we have the 95 and 5, but in recent years, and coming into the next two budget seasons, the NDOT is probably gonna reduce its match to 4% in 16, and 2.5% in 17, and the FAA doesn't increase theirs. That becomes then a greater local match.
So I want to, again, I want to be clear. So the federal would be, in this scenario, the federal will be about 10.2.
Correct.
NDOT's going to be about 505,000, is that correct? And that leaves a local share of 632,000. Is that where the RDA comes in?
That is where we have, in investigating with our other stakeholders, we approached both the RDA and the county. The RDA approved a 2.5% matching grant, so 1/2 of the local share, but they've made a caveat to that the other 2.5% be associated with county funds.
I bet they did.
Can I ask a question, Dan?
Yeah.
Vicki, scroll down to the next budget, the Kuhn Building. I'm going to just throw it on the table. Can they bond for the remainder, Scott? A little 5-year bond?
What's the revenue source?
Their Kuhn Building.
Our King Building's already being used to pay off a current bond.
Okay, well, then maybe they gotta go back to the 1.3 million. I mean, well, they have bonding ability, correct? Okay, so I wanna get on the table.
The airport has done 2 revenue bonds in its history, one in 1996, helped develop the terminal building and some hangar areas. That was a 15-year note that we went 12 years on, rolled that into the current bond we have, which is a 2008 series. And out of the 2 budgets, both the aviation fund that you'll consider tonight and our cumulative building fund, we pay roughly $310,000 in debt service to those bonds at this time.
When's that bond run?
That will, I believe, be...
We're about 5 years into it.
Yeah, it's a 20...
15 or 20?
20? We can't pay that and roll it for at least another 5 under the bond covenant, so we couldn't combine it with that and redo it for a while.
Okay.
Looking at the participations, at $632,000 for the full 5%, $317 for the 2.5% matches. I think it's important to note, too, as far as a taxpayer investment, that this program, both for the RDA and for the county if they participate, is a 39-to-1 match as far as dollars go. And, in that, we're going to be getting over $10.7 million of federal and state aid coming back to the community, which will be done by local workforces as far as construction, and those dollars having that multiplier effect in the economy.
So, I mean, really, it's not, I mean, I like the airport, so I'm partial, but I mean, it really is a great investment. There's no question about that.
I'll give you an example. Pratt Industries has been in and out a lot in their jets with their big project. I mean, they need a runway this long for their jets when they fuel up and go out of here. I mean, it's a big part of the economic development activity going on in the county. Kyle was holding his breath last year before, when Vice President Biden came in a 757, hoping that we weren't kicking up rocks into their engine.
We don't want him to
condition we're in.
He's got a campaign coming up. We don't want him to get hurt.
I agree with everything you said. I'm just looking to try and get them their 2.5%. If they have a little bit of bonding ability, unless they gotta go over there and see them people.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask. So we have two commissioners here. Have you guys had the opportunity to, I know, Jeff, you and I talked a little bit about this, but I don't know how deep into the well you guys have gotten into this project, if you have any thoughts. with respect to this? I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot, if you still have stuff to look at, that's fine.
We are looking into some different funds that we have. I think one that we had identified was possibly CCD.
Okay.
For us, which right now has a balance in it. I can't say off the top of my head, but it would more than enough take care of the match.
It's groundbreaking.
That was a discussion that we had several months ago. It's not been updated since then, and I know Dan and I talked a little bit about it. We haven't circled back yet. That was one of our thoughts. I mean, based off the discussion that we had with CETA the other night, I think you know that.
Yeah, that's probably not it.
That's not going to happen, so, you know.
I think it's fair to say they'll want to make it work.
Okay.
Well, and I know this is an issue close to Dan's heart as a very successful bankruptcy attorney and has a private jet. Just for clarification, am I hearing this right, that the local share is $632,000 and the RDA has said we'll give you half of that?
Yes, if the county will match it.
If the county will match that, the county matches the RDA $3.5 million a year.
There you go.
And they're saying, okay, but we'll only give you, I won't put you on the spot, Jeff, because you were a representative on that board, but that's a little frustrating, and I don't know enough, but just off the top.
Well, if you follow what's happened up at the RDA over the last 4 years, what has happened, and that, a lot of it had to do with a lot of the direction that we started moving the RDA direction in, is that we wanted to start seeing.
So local skin in the game.
We wanted to see local skin in the game. So that was an ordinance that was adopted several years ago. And, you know.
No, if you follow sort of the philosophy of the RDA as it's developed, they've kind of, I mean, there was some concern, at least voiced at one point, that there would be some entities that would receive the benefit of RDA money without any particular match, or, so they didn't really want to see all the money going to particular entities. So philosophically, they have, and I'm not, defending it, but they're trying to get something finished, trying to get some of these municipalities or entities, if they want to get some of the RDA money, they have to bring something, and that sort of culls the herd, I think, of all the many requests for the money. Am I right there?
You're dead on, Dan. You're dead on.
So that's the thinking.
And just so you know, when this came forward, I did discuss with the RDA about giving us more than just 50/50 match. I did push back on that, but then I would be sort of advocating against our own policies,
Okay, I can understand if they were gonna do something for Couch and the project of the 100,000. Couch, residents through their property taxes through their income tax pay, the RDA. But we pay it. Here in the county, we pay it. A community that isn't a quote-unquote member, like maybe the city of Gary is or whatever, we're the county. And we pay them 3.5, and we pay them that every year.
Well, the city of Valparaiso, and the city of Portage, and the city of Porter have all benefited from that $3.5 million. I just got here a year ago. I don't know what happened the last 9 years. This county sat back and didn't participate or didn't do anything to try and get some of that money back. So I'm just working through the policies. I mean, your point is very well taken, but we're sort of at the end of the, and now the new direction with the RDA is all changing towards rail, it's changing towards DOEs, it's changing its direction on where it's going, whether that's good or bad.
We did get
that's the direction I have, but I know from my standpoint, I did ask for more than a 50% match. I was pleased with getting some money out of it. Would I like to gotten more money out of it? Absolutely, I would. But that's the condition, and that's what they voted on.
And this isn't directed at you whatsoever.
No.
Have we gotten any money from the RDA for the airport here?
We have tried for a number of different times, but their empowering statute was so placed for the most part. There were 5 different things that they could give money to, and unfortunately, economic development was one of the later rounds. Transportation wasn't acknowledged. It was the Gary Airport rail service, bus service, Marquette Park, and other economic development opportunities. So we've tried, and I have to say, the current administration of the RDA was very excited about this, because a 39-1 match is probably one of the best you're going to get in a program. And we're happy to see that, and we're hoping that with this, because we can provide a 39-1 match for every AIP project that we do at the airport. We're hoping that it sets a working relationship. We'll have to see as we test those.
Okay.
The problem with this one is it's just so big for our budget.
Yeah.
I mean, it just really stretches us beyond.
And that, yes, and that's certainly not, we can look at other projects coming up that are maybe not quite as big as this, but we were just talking about them here recently, about doing something to the Expo Center and stuff, which all ties into economic development. And that's why it's disappointing to me anyway, that when we're giving at the minimum of $3.5 million, as Councilman Rivas pointed out, annually, and we're told by the RDA that you need more skin in the game. Well, that's a lot of skin, and this is our airport. We're not talking about somebody wanting to put a park in or a bike trail. It's our airport. Yeah, I'm disappointed to hear that.
Okay. Well, we're not, all right. I don't dispute any of that. I don't need to rehash my thoughts on the RDA. We have what we have, so. Okay. Did you have any questions about this project proposal? We're not gonna get to this right now, we're here for budgets, but I wanted you guys to hear what, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The only other thing I was going to add is, the last time, really, the airport, I'm probably the only one that was still around on that agency at that time. We were, I think, still airport board, we weren't a Board of Aviation Commissioners at the time, or Airport Authority at the time. But in 1988, we needed to buy the land for the north-south runway expansion, and the county floated a general revenue bond issue to help us with that. I mean, again, that was something that needed to be done to protect for the long-term future of the airport. Right. And gosh, is that important now, when we're going to be repaving the rest of this east-west one, we'll still be in business. When we did this little bit of the intersection, we were shut down for 2 weeks, so at least that part of it's out of the way. But some things are just too big for our operating budget, and unfortunately, this is one of them.
But this is, as you know, this is a big deal.
It is a big deal.
It has to be done.
And it's being done right, so it should last 20-plus years. Right. Again, the land we bought, however many, almost 30 years ago, and made a lot of things possible. We're kind of back in that same boat, so.
Are there raises in this budget?
Well, let's go back, are we done with let's stay on task. Are we done with the project proposal at this point?
One last thing, I'm sorry, what is the timeline of this? What is the timeline of finding this local skin in the game as?
We just, if you probably read in the paper, we got an early award in May, no grant, but an early award of $4.3 million. We actually bid this project for what they were going to give us money for, but also for the west end of the runway, to be able to do the whole runway. Right. Got very good bids on that. The FAA actually went to bat, went to Washington, got another $1.4 million towards that project. So we have all the money to do what's shown in blue on your drawing now. And that is planned to start in probably April 1st.
Construction season this spring. It's all bid out, and we have the federal grant, the state grant, we just need the local.
So you need that local grant to get going.
And the red is done, but not paid for yet.
What is the timeline of a commitment of some sort of source of?
We probably have into early next year.
Well, what I thought we would do, I wanted them to give you some of the generalities of the proposed reconstruction that they need to do, give you an update on alternative source revenue, and for your contemplation, I do intend to go back and speak with the commissioners a little bit more about this, and then we can address it at that time. But I wanted you guys to at least hear what the proposed improvements were going to be. So, all right, Bob, back to your question about the budget.
Yeah, did we put raises? It looks like I'm looking at raises.
We did. There are raises in there, just like we did last year. There's 5% contingency based on what will be accomplished on Thursday. We have to give the raises in the budget because being one of the binding budget reviews, you can't increase it, you can only approve it or lower it.
Right,
So it's subject to whatever you guys do.
Right.
Yeah, consistent with what goes on Thursday.
right. So why don't we take,
Wait, I'm sorry.
they're
Yeah, I
tax breaks. So they gave it to us high, saying whatever we do on Thursday with raises is what they'll end up with. And if they advertise the budget the exact same and then we give raises, we can't increase it.
I agree with that statement, but that's not till Thursday.
That's Thursday. So are you wanting to, on second reading, take the raises out, Bob, and then address them on Thursday? All right. Is that okay?
Consistent with all.
Yeah, take the raises out, and we'll address them on Thursday. That's fine. Makes sense.
It should be the exact same budget.
Yeah. So what's your pleasure with the budget? Exact same.
Move to approve.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We had a second, any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Airport Cume Building,
I'll make the motion.
we have a motion, is there a second? And a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. So what I anticipate doing is we'll chat with the commissioners, and you guys can, have your time with the commissioners to go through any questions they've got, and then I would anticipate that once we get some feedback from the commissioners, if we wanted to start addressing your project, we'll have you come back in front of us at a regular meeting, and we'll
Thank you. If any of you aren't familiar, feel free to come out, and Kyle will give you the tour if you got questions about any of this, so.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Recycling and Waste District. Almost there. Almost there. How's it going?
Okay.
Good. Okay, guys, we have our budget in front of us. What's your pleasure?
She did not include raises, she was waiting.
I did, but
You did, okay.
again, like Kyle, since this is a binding review.
Right, you had to cut too high. So take the raises out, give us the new number, and we'll address them on Thursday with the... Makes sense to me.
I have a question about line item 1110, salary, longevity, and wellness. What does that mean?
I break it out, we have longevity pay based similar to the county, so for our tracking
It's a non-general
mechanism, I
fund.
break it out, so that would be what people are, unless we don't, if the county approves the longevity pay, then
Oh,
it's in my
okay.
budget, and then we follow that. If you don't approve it, then we don't get it.
Okay.
And wellness, it has to do with the health program, the insurance program.
Oh, okay.
So, that actually gets paid out as a benefit to the employee if they participate in the wellness program, and then they get taxed on that as well.
Thank you.
Need a motion there?
I do.
I make it.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Not voting. What's your pleasure?
Second.
A motion is second on the floor. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. That's it. All right. Voters registration, this should be a quick one. I'm just funny. That's all right.
We haven't forgot.
Okay. So, voters registration, how are things going over voters registration? I hear things are smooth as silk.
Always, right?
Yeah, that's good stuff. What questions do y'all have about voters registration?
Well, not a question, they're eliminating 2 full-time positions, and just like we talked about earlier, the duties of those second deputies are gonna be shared amongst the full-time staff, and they've upped their, not overtime,
Yes.
Overtime.
well, overtime, but
Right.
We had up the
hourly is what I meant to say.
So your salary budget's actually going down a little bit.
Yeah, it's going, it's decreasing $17,000, $20 plus you'll get back the FICA and perk benefits.
We did increase the overtime because it's, presidential next year, but the only thing, what we talked about, Karen and Dan earlier about Deb, that we probably should have put that $15,000 into the election budget, because
Right.
we're not the only ones that are paid out of that. The travel board, the absentee board members are paid out of that overtime line item too. So it's just how you wanna handle that.
So you want
I know
some-
we've been paid out of the voter registration one, but I know that's been kind of a big issue this year, so.
And those election people also do voter registration work, especially like next year. So when we bring those part-time in, they're doing voter registration work as well. They kind of go hand in hand.
On your, the line item 3730, it's a new item.
Not on voter registration.
It's not new, you see where maintenance agreements
bottom
was
line is budget went
3610. We just, divided that into, the lease purchase, because our, copy machine is actually a lease purchase, it's not really a maintenance agreement, so. We were trying to, like I said, put stuff where it's supposed to be.
So how do you want to handle this budget, guys? Bob, you have the same concerns with the raises? Do you want to deal with this on Thursday? And again, philosophically, it's exactly what I'd like to see folks do.
Thursday night, I will not be here.
It's fine.
My husband's grandmother died, and
Sorry to hear that.
night.
That's fine.
So I won't be here.
That's fine, that gives us carte blanche to deny it.
Okay. I can come in Friday after, you know, and be like, what happened?
So, let's do this, let's take those increases out, but put them on the list of ones that we're gonna deal with separately on Thursday. And again, this, from my perspective, this is what we wanna see folks do.
And that's what we did, you know, we did. We evaluated the employees, we talked to them, told them, you know, could you carry a heavier workload if we were able to get you a raises? We're cross-training them so that they're more apt to deal with not just voter registration, but election issues that we have. Relying on them for the responsibilities, you know, it's more stress for them, but of course, they're willing to take that on. We've got a pretty good team in the voter registration office right now. A lot of us got a number of years under our belt. We get along well together, we sing together, we know what needs to get done, and we get it done, so.
Fantastic, what's your pleasure with the new number? 185, 588?
This is for voter registration?
This is voters registration.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion, is there a second? Second, discussion. Bob, you have a question?
Nope.
All right. Any questions on this one? 185, 588, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? So what we're gonna do with the increases is we've got a list of ones that are sort of this kind of thing, and we're just gonna address them on Thursday on third reading, and we'll deal with it. In whatever way we decide, I guess, but, all right, so, election board.
Thank you.
Well, I don't go anywhere because I want you here for election board. Yeah, you guys, we're gonna address some of this stuff. Okay. So, how's, election board? Good? All right, good. We'll see about that. Okay, so, you got the proposed budget in front of you?
Got questions. There's, some increases, on the, 1320 board absentee. It's from 20 to 40. Can you, explain the increases?
We'll start at the very beginning. It looks like, on 1120 hourly, you have a proposed increase of 15,000. Is that because of the bigger election, you anticipate having more hourly required?
Is that the customary amount that fluctuates?
Well,
Through
depending on
the
the general
presidential-
election, municipal, and county elections, yes.
What's it usually?
It'll be a presidential year.
Yeah, isn't it about that? The presidential year, isn't it? We usually,
Yeah, correct.
I'm on the ballot. Let's not kid ourselves. I'm on the
We
ballot.
have a
As a
lot of
commissioner?
council positions that many people are interested in, right?
Yes.
Thomas?
So, all right, and then, let's talk about, absentee 1320 increase, from 20 to 40. What's that for?
It has to do with the the amount of boards at each location. Sometimes there's 3 boards, sometimes there's 2 boards at the locations, and so it's increased substantially during the general
And so when you say the boards, we're talking about,
individuals that work.
yeah, okay.
You
So
know,
like,
the judges, the inspectors.
so like if we had, yeah, so like at Jones School, perhaps where there's 2 voting precincts there, you'd have 2 separate boards, is that correct?
Not in all instances. There is a clause that specifically states that we are allowed to consolidate boards with a unanimous decision by the election board.
Okay,
So that's dependent, and there are occasions where they'll have an additional clerk instead of a complete additional board.
I got you. Okay, I guess it would be depending on how heavy those precincts are too, perhaps.
And I think on June 23rd, I forwarded a substantial amount of information to all of you regarding what's going on and some of the numbers that we were working with and some of the minutes and things of that sort. And I actually stopped by and asked Joy to forward it to you, just to make sure you had it.
Yep, and we're gonna just assume that nobody read it. I'm not saying that we didn't, but let's just assume for a moment that we're going to go back through and talk about it, just in case we've forgotten what we read. All right, so is that, I guess, is that typical, is that number typical with what we may have had 4 years ago, for presidential year?
2012.
12, yeah, let's do that. Let's see how we,
Find out
can you go back that far for us?
Yeah.
Thank you, let's just take a look, that might help.
And you're specifically looking at the 1320?
Yeah, we'll kind of look at any increases just to make sure that we're, I mean, it makes sense, we're upping it for the presidential year, but let's just see how we're doing. How are we doing down there?
Very well, thank you.
Further down.
No.
We're dealing with old flood numbers, so I have to look up and...
Oh, I got you. It's all zeros. That can't be right.
Well, no.
We didn't have an election.
Individual line item. I got it on here. Okay, hourly,
Oh, she's got it.
you want the total?
Let's go with, hourly. What was spent in hourly for
For 2012.
2012?
Yep, 37,413.
So that's about right. All right. So now go to 1320, the absentee boards. Is that it? 17,184?
That's 2012, we probably want to look at 08.
What is that?
Because this election is going to be more like 08 than it was 2012, because you have no incumbent running.
Oh, what about Sylvia? Sylvia's incumbent.
And in 2008, we spent...
President.
How much did you spend?
I'm the president.
8,640 minutes.
So that's consistent then.
And that was in 2008.
Okay.
Same thing with the polling location boards?
Yeah, in 2008, we used 128,000, and that was before they had gotten the raises, so.
It's all those numbers.
Yeah, those are pretty consistent with what we're gonna, okay,
Which again is why the increase is in food and grocery, because you're in our coworkers.
okay. So, now we have supplies. All right. Office supplies, what kind of increase, is that the same, what do you anticipate spending more on office supplies, in a presidential year than you would, say, in a municipal year? Obviously,
Well,
more polling places.
123 precincts.
Yeah, so that's natural. And then, that'd be the same with food and groceries?
Well, that depends on the work, yeah.
People that pack their lunch. Ballots and coding. Okay, so what's that for?
That has to do with the ballots themselves, and when we send them out, they cost approximately 28 cents per, but then there's a coding cost on top of that. And the problem is, or the concern is, sometimes the statute's interpreted as to you must have 100% of the individual voters.
Right.
And you must have ballots for them. We do not have to have them pre-printed 100% of it. Just like in the 2015 primary, I think one of the locations had 44 registered voters, but as you know, in a primary, you have to have your Democrat and Republican tickets.
Right.
So we ordered 50 of each, and only 7 people voted. So you're talking about 93 ballots that were just wasted. So we have to get a better handle on this because we can take care of those costs then, when we're looking at it. And we do have the ballot on demand now. We have 3 locations. Early voting has ballot on demand. And what happens is when an individual comes up, instead of that location, because early voting, all 123 precincts can vote. So not everybody votes the same way in all 123 precincts, as you know, because of locations.
Right, they have different ballots.
Right, so you'd have to have ballots for all those precincts. Right now, with ballot on demand, it automatically prints that ballot out. They don't get the wrong ballot unless they put the wrong information in, which saves money in the long run.
Can you show, what did we spend on ballots and coding in
Right.
'08 and '12?
Thank you.
Get a whiz. So it looks like about 100, what year is that? 12? So we did about 180,000. Yeah, I mean, okay.
Oh, wait.
Do you want to see your list?
I do.
Yeah, this is always, so the ballots and coding was spent about $148,000.
All right, so that's fine. All right. Other services and charges, it's all pretty close. All right. Maintenance agreements, what kind of, wait a minute, what kind of maintenance agreements do we have that are we typically,
How much did you spend?
before we get to how much you spend, tell me what kind of things we're spending.
Out of our maintenance agreement?
Yeah.
Well, we do have equipment, things of that sort, that we have agreements on. We have some of our, if you look at the voting, the M100s and things of that sort, every other year we have that handled, and our maintenance agreements come out of that line item.
Can I ask you a question on that line, on that, this is kind of a silly question maybe, but I keep hearing from, particularly the commissioners, I think have mentioned this to me, that where we're storing the M100s is not giving them their longest longevity, that because of where they're at, it's probably not the optimal place to store them, that they would last longer. Is that true or not? And if so...
Commissioners initially set it up that way.
Right.
They looked at what the cost and overall.
Yeah, no, and so I'm asking, yeah, I get that, but I'm asking you guys, if we ask the commissioners to move them someplace that you think is more suitable for their longevity, would that make a difference at this point?
I think in all actuality, we're always going to have battery issues as well as card issues. And those are some of the things that we have problems with. I mean, at the primary, we had almost 10 to 12 of the, we actually had them when we were counting in the lower level. And primarily the cards or the batteries were issues.
So you don't
And
think
then
it's
next
worth the
year-
effort to move them at this point?
I personally, when we looked at the amount, the humidity level as well as the level of the temperature, they fell within the parameters of what was discussed prior to us.
I just want to get your thoughts on that. Your input doesn't matter. It was something that popped in my head. Okay. So, I see we have some capital outlay. Over 100, looks like it says. 130,000 clams. What's that for?
That, those would be the poll books that there's been so much discussion.
Yeah, e-poll books, I forgot about those. So let me just, here's what I thought we'd do on the e-poll book discussion, is I'd like to get some thoughts on I want to get a clear picture, and this isn't, I'm nonpartisan on these at this point. I just want to, as far as the e-poll books, I want to get the strengths, the weaknesses, I want to just have an idea of where we're headed, where we're at, and then we can go from there. So, as it stands right now, I've heard so many different numbers, but I think that, Karen, help me out here, but we have 80-some e-poll books at this point, is that correct?
Yeah.
All right. I think 84, okay. Now, that, and I want to make sure that I also understand this, as far as, so back to my Jones School example, or wherever, pick a precinct where there's, or a polling place where there's more than one precinct. I understand we need less e-poll books in a non-countywide race because obviously there's less places voting, but let's assume for a moment, a presidential race or a countywide race of some sort. So in a polling place where there's multiple precincts, is it your anticipation to have more than one e-poll book at that place?
Our guideline would be to have one poll book per precinct.
Okay. And again, so if we didn't have that, would logic dictate, particularly in a busy election, would that, let's say that we had two fairly busy precincts and one e-poll book to service both of those precincts, because it's one polling place. How would that work? Is that even possible?
It is possible. It's just like now when we consolidate locations. We have 123 precincts, but
Yes.
we may only have 89 locations.
Okay.
Because what we do is we take the larger ones and have them separate, but we take the smaller ones and put them together.
Right.
It's a possibility that may also work in that respect.
Would that, though, would logic dictate, and would that increase the delay that someone might have in voting? Would it increase the time it takes people to get through, as opposed to having two e-poll books? I mean, is that gonna, or does it work that way? Help me
I
out
think
here.
the most confusion would fall within the ballot aspect.
Okay.
Okay, as now, if you have two different precincts, there's a possibility there might be someone on one ballot and not on the other.
Okay.
And those are our only concerns, to make it easier and simpler for the voters as well as the workers.
So as we kind of move forward, at this point, we have 84 poll books, and how many, you said how many polling locations, 89?
Right now, for this election, we have 50,
50, but it's like next year.
79 to 90-something depending.
Okay, all
But
right,
123 precincts, so we want to
Right.
have one,
right. So that was gonna be my next question, but as it stands, we have
84.
84, but I mean polling locations.
It would be
79, 80, somewhere in there, maybe?
depending on how we consolidate it.
consolidated.
Yeah, okay, so let's just say
It
that number.
has to be a unanimous decision by all the members of the election board.
Let's assume that it wasn't. Let's assume that there wasn't. Let's just assume for a
Worst case
moment.
scenario, 123.
So 4 years ago, we had 123 polling locations?
No. They consolidated them.
So how many polling locations did we have 4 years ago?
Was it 20?
80,
89?
okay. 89? Okay, all right. So, moving right along, but it's your thought in anticipation to have a separate e-poll book for each precinct, and then any extras?
Well, we would like to have at least a 10% increase for emergency purposes. So you're talking about 12 more.
All right. So you would need 135, okay. Okay. That kind of gets me up to speed.
And that's without consolidation.
All right.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Maybe you could walk me through the process. If I remember correctly, Sylvia votes absentee. It goes downstairs. It sits there till the day of the election, correct? Then it's taken to the precinct, the poll book is open, and somebody marks absentee or whatever.
It's already updated in the system before. All they have to do is take the ballots themselves and put them in the M100s to count it.
But they don't do that till election morning.
But don't they, but, no, I'm misunderstanding, no, I'm misunderstanding, because, all right, because I thought that if somebody, Sylvia, for example, went down and voted early, not a mail-in ballot, but went down and voted early, there's an e-poll book there.
Correct.
And so she's counted.
Right.
Is that what you're
I'm
asking?
talking about an absentee ballot.
You're talking about the mail-in job?
Mail-in.
All right, so back to
How is that
that.
handled? I mean, I thought it sat in a box with her precinct on it.
Right.
You don't know who it is, right?
No.
Correct. The morning of the election, it's opened with her name.
The location.
At the location.
It's sent there by a sheriff.
Right. At the location, it's opened up and they say Sylvia Graham's absentee ballot.
Correct.
So the book is marked by a poll worker with a witness probably, that she voted. Then it goes in the box.
When it came in.
Right, then it goes into the M100.
Correct.
How do you do with an e-poll book then, if Sylvia votes absentee and it's mailed in? How is that recorded, and when is that recorded?
It's recorded when the ballot comes back into the location, okay,
No, wait a minute.
through the e-poll book.
Wait, stop, back up. She absentee ballots 2 weeks early.
Correct.
She mails it in, it comes in tomorrow. That's what it's recorded in the poll book for her precinct.
No, it's held until the day.
It's held until it goes back to the...
Okay, so nothing happens to it? It just sits there in the box.
Right.
Then the morning of the election, I'm fuzzy on when is the e-poll book, who does that?
It's a smart update.
But somebody has to go in there and push a button, write something down, what? Matthew, do you have something to add here? How's it, about that question?
About the mail. Currently, if somebody is voting by mail, this is a problem found from May, ES&S does not have the poll book available for us to put somebody that voted by mail. So if we're sitting on 1,000 ballots by mail, yes, they'll be blocked out in the e-poll book so they can't go vote again.
But when is that done? But wait a minute. Now, I'm gonna have to stop and get a crayon out for me here in about 10 seconds. How do you know that you voted absentee by mail?
How's it entered into the e-poll book?
That's my point. I think she's getting there. So, no, she just said they're blanked out of the book. How are they blanked out? Because they don't know she voted.
That's correct, because they aren't open until that night.
So they're open the night before the
The
election.
absentee ballot is not open. It goes back out to the location, then they're brought back in as part of the final count.
Correct. No, so they're open the night before the election? I thought they were open the morning.
Of the election. So those are counted.
Well, I think where I'm going is, I vote 2 weeks early by absentee ballot. I get a mailer that says somebody's under federal investigation. I run down on election day and change my vote. Can I do that because it's not in the e-poll book yet?
No. It's been updated.
But how is it updated if you don't know who voted?
Even if it's updated, actually, there's a state law, you can't, once you vote absentee.
Okay, forget that. He's making crap up.
Well,
how do you...
Voting by mail is not using the e-poll book. They go through the statewide voter registration.
And then
the statewide voter registration, we check in that we got their ballot.
Okay.
They send it to ES&S, to Central Point, for a smart update. But the problem is, that ballot is not being counted because it's not in the system. ES&S doesn't have a way for us to go and input that mail, that we got there by mail.
We're gonna lose them on the not being counted part.
That's not true.
Their ballots cast, they are counted on election day. We have a system that's called Central Point. Okay, everybody's votes counted. We have a system that's called Central Point. It only holds the count for people that voted in person on election day, or in person for early voting, and then the people that voted in person on election day. The by mail absentees, they're loaded up in the e-poll book, but the e-poll book does not hold that as a count. So if it says that 25 people voted on election day, those are people that voted in person on election day.
So then how, okay.
It has the absentee voters in there. It says Sylvia Graham voted absentee. She's already voted absentee. She's already been issued a ballot. She won't let her vote again.
Okay.
Our Central Point, which is just like a recording system that we have, does not reflect that number.
So then when does that number, am I understanding?
We have to add it in ourselves.
Okay.
As of right now, we have to add it in ourselves.
But there is nothing current that ES&S in that poll book for us to be able to go and do that. So if we're sitting with 100 by mail, we asked them the other day, how can we put them in the e-poll book so they get the credit? They don't have that.
No, we can do that, but we can't put it in bold.
But doesn't, all right, so hold on. So Karen, you indicated, I think I just heard you say that, you don't think that's necessarily true. What's your understanding of how it works?
It can be done. I think they're taking, like, he was trying to get clarification on two different procedures. And what happens is, as Sunday said, it's out there. Yes, in May we had a problem with it because that's why we were off. When somebody threw out the numbers were off, like 300 votes, I can't do this. They did not take into consideration the absentee ballots. And it wasn't until those were added in that it came out to a difference of maybe 26 to 30. So those were numbers that weren't added in the final because of the way the process was done.
At what point do they get added into the final?
Well, that's what we found out, we have to add it in ourselves.
Okay, so we manually put it, okay.
We have it manually.
Which might work on this election, but next year, on all those absentees, there's no way.
So let me ask you a question, Bob.
Yes, and that's not big.
Do you think you got an answer to your question, Bob? Questions? Or do we need to get that crayon you were talking about?
Well, just so I'm clear, I'm not voting for this, because this thing is a can of worms
It has been.
that
Yeah.
I don't think has been vetted. The whole thing, it just, and I don't even wanna hear it, and please don't start it about how we're gonna save money, about an election cost and putting ballots up. I'm almost to the point, and I'll really do a Donald Trump, I'll pay for the damn ballots myself. This is, you know, all I'm hearing is that mantra about what we're saving in ballots.
An offer box?
He's not gonna come through with that offer.
It's never gonna stop. These costs are never gonna go down. There's obviously flaws in the system. I don't care who you are, or what ESMS, IRS, or anybody else tells you, if it's a computer, there's issues.
I don't care what the
The IRS tells me something, I listen.
Hold on,
It's just, come on.
Sunday and Kathy was saying what's not gonna work next year? You're saying with,
Well, she was saying that absentee by mail, we can manually input them into the poll book, and it will have our
All right.
in that central point. And until ESNS fixes that, see, because we put it into our state system, which is SVRS, the Indiana voter registration system, because we put that into that, we can't put it in the poll book too, because then it looks like a duplicate entry, and it doesn't talk to that. So we either have to put it into our state computer, or put it into the e-poll book. Well, we already put it into the state system before we found that out.
Yes. All right, hold on a second. Scott, you have a question?
Yeah, and just to try to dovetail a little bit into what Bob was asking, so I think I understand you're saying we get the absentees, they come in, they're held, at some point they're put in the state system. The state system then does a smart
Update to the e-poll book.
to the e-poll books, that's how the e-poll books know they're there,
No,
right?
yeah.
Right? So my question is, when do we upload it to the state?
Into the SVRS, we check those ballots in as soon as we get them back. So by
In the mail, right?
We check
So,
them the same day.
they do come in,
Mail, they check it.
And they are counted.
they are opened here,
No.
right?
They're sent out, they're in that audio and video room we have in the back.
Uh-huh.
They're in a locked, double locked file cabinet.
Uh-huh.
My Republican deputy and her Democrat deputy has the keys to each one of the locks.
Okay.
They're locked back there. On election day, they're sent to their own polling
Right.
location. So Sylvia, where's your polling location?
I don't know.
23.
23.
So her ballot's gonna go out to Center 23 on election day and be counted there at her precinct.
But
That's when it gets uploaded to the state.
Wait a minute, I guess I'm...
Election day morning, the first thing the poll workers do when they open.
Back it up, I'm a little fuzzy. Sylvia mails her ballot in, so is a ballot attached to the envelope, so you know it's Sylvia's? Because her name's not on the ballot. Okay, so when your poll workers open it up, do they stick it in a drawer marked Union 23?
They stick it in the M100 marked, yes,
Center.
Center 23.
So you want to do that then without e-poll books, right?
No different.
I mean, that's not an e-poll book concern.
Ladies, is that state law that says that you have to take those back out there and count them on those locations, or is that internal
We
policy?
had requested initially that we go with central counting and hold them all here instead of sending them out, and sometimes they're counted, sometimes they're not, and bring them back. But there has to be a resolution, it has to be unanimous, it's already been voted on by the board, but then there's an additional cost to that. There's two different kinds.
That makes absolutely no sense to me at all,
Well, we use the sheriff's department and paper
that
ballots.
they're being sent back to those locations on those early voting ballots, when they could be checked off here. What is it, my goodness, what does that cost to have those ran all over the county?
The sheriffs do it, we have them in anyways, they're just sitting there. The sheriff.
So, yeah, this isn't an e-poll, I mean, you guys realize this isn't an e-poll book discussion. That's a logistics, otherwise, yeah.
Oh, it's all...
it's an election board discussion.
Well, I understand, I mean, I want to kind of, no, do what you want.
Now, I have heard that
Go with it.
that in the city and town elections, that there have been some problems,
With reference, I mean, you'd have to give me an idea of what you're speaking of.
with the machines.
We had machine, you're talking about the e-poll book machine, or are you talking about the ballot on demand printer? What area?
Well, I just heard the system was,
Well,
you
it's
know.
not the whole system. There were some jams in the printer, but as you all know, all printers have jams.
Sunday and Kathy, have you encountered or seen any issues in the early voting municipal races here? What kind of problems have you seen?
There's less this year than last year. We got a lot more training for November than we had in May, so I feel a little bit more comfortable with it.
Right.
The problems that we're having are mostly their teams. I don't feel it's an e-poll book thing, it's an ES&S thing.
Oh, so we say their team, you mean ES&S?
ES&S is team,
All right.
but they've
Okay.
done a better job this time of getting us training, as far as.
I was heard.
Fixed problems.
Okay.
We did have data problems with the, e-poll book. There's 3 precincts of the e-poll book was checking an out-of-town voter, but it will not print a ballot for an out-of-town voter, so that's kind of the warning system check, so that they know that that voter does not have a ballot. They can't vote.
So will it count though, would it count that person voted? I mean, in the numbers of people that voted?
We're going into the system and,
Manually taking them out.
taking them out of there.
Okay.
But it's giving that voter credit, to be fair, so it's giving, a voter came in upstairs, they live out of county. If they let the girls check that voter in. It would not give them a ballot, but it let them check it
Well, when
in.
you say it gives that voter credit, what do you mean?
Well, it went for the smart update and said, that Kathy voted.
But it's not.
But I really didn't vote because it wouldn't let me give me a ballot. So Sunday night I need to keep track of all those names. And then her and I have to go in and delete those names, or that voter gets credit for voting.
Just don't process it. When it comes into
You know
our.
what amazes me about this? I mean, I don't care what side of this that you're on, is that I can go to the ATM, take out $20 and get a receipt. I vote, I don't get bupkis.
You could have on my vote.
You get a sticker.
But I'm saying, there's so much, there's so many moving parts here with this, and I could see how the number could get skewed. But if we're handing out receipts, well, I'd feel a whole lot better about all this.
Well, a lot different equipment, a lot more cost, because we were talking about that, putting a ballot in and then getting a receipt for your vote.
Yeah.
Unless you're talking about a whole new system.
Okay, so, let me,
We had either on that smart update that Bob was asking about, we've had several problems that it doesn't work. Every morning, the girls are turning on the machine, hit the smart update. ES&S isn't even calling us and saying, hey, we're having a problem with your smart update. Or the workers are calling us. So then we're calling ES&S saying, hey, what's going on with the smart update? To pull the voters out of the cloud from the night before. The printer, we've had several jams. I had a ballot, and I have them downstairs, if you'd like to come down. There's 4 corners with squares in them. When that printer prints that ballot correctly, it puts a bullseye. What we noticed, and this happened in May, on the M100, the machines in the basement, the ballots were read from 6 a.m. till 1 p.m. when the sheriff delivered. At 1 p.m., the M100 started suffering jams. In looking at those ballots now, the jams were from the printers, the 3 on-site early voting sites. The printers were going askew. The timing marks were off on the ballots. We've already had several from Portage in the first couple days of early voting where the printer was askew. If that bullseye is not in that box, the M100 will not read that ballot.
do we know what side the vote was on?
It's a general election.
But we did, that's happening in like.
Now
We don't need the Republicans, don't you, Ray?
We got more training on how
All
to
right.
do that. They trained all
All
the
right,
staff
so
before,
Jim wanted to-
how
JJ wants to-
Yeah, well, hold on.
Train them to
We're
watch.
gonna talk one at a time.
So I mean, yes, we did have those problems in May, and that's why I said I feel better with November than I did May, because we have received a lot more training. May, it was too fast. We did not get the training that we should have had.
Okay, JJ,
For
you,
November is a lot better.
all right, you're here, do you want to offer something?
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm happy because of my board members. I'm here as a minority member, just to tell you, I think we have limped along by 15, 30, 40. I'm not sure if that was an attempt to get under the bid limit in Indiana or not, but we've never bid out any of this, all right? So it's no wonder we are dealing with a beta version of something. It's being experimented on us, but you're already 84 deep. But I talked to Scott about this. What can you do as a council? You already own 84 of these things.
Return.
40 more may complete it, it's the remaining one-third, but you may have bought a pig in a poke. The way it's working now, we're all trying to find out how far are the bugs in this data. But I don't know, the reason I'm addressing you, and thank you, is to send a message to this vendor, ES&S, that any further purchase of their equipment is going to be bid out. Flat out, no more exceptions, that's the way it's going to be done. And the only reason you do that is to probably avoid a lawsuit and finish the one-third, because you're already two-thirds down the road to what it is. That's as good as I can help you out. I think you're in a beta system. I'm not sure it's going to work. I don't know, but you're already two-thirds past the hurdle, and I think you bought off a little bit of a lawsuit by accepting 50, 20, 30, 40, rather than bid it out originally. And go with-
So we didn't, yeah, to be clear, we didn't.
That was the election board and the board of commissioners.
Yeah, that's right.
That have cornered us.
It's on us, and I was just saying, I was trying to send a message out to say, no more ES&S, it's gotta be bid out.
So here's my question for Scott. All right, I don't want to spend a tremendous amount of time on whether we should have poll books or e-poll, or we should. What I'd like to know from Scott is, this may all be an exercise in futility, what are our obligations?
Well, that's a good question. I've received the contracts. I have requested them from the Commissioner's office today, and I received them, and I have them here. I got them shortly before the meeting. Frankly, what I would like to do is, I may have a few questions before they leave, but frankly, I need to take a look at these, kind of see where we're at. Legally, I think I would prefer to address you again at third reading, which is Thursday, by the way, so this isn't exactly pushing it off very far. But to give you an answer, I mean, obviously, logistically or just facially looking at this point, my concern is we have contracts that are signed.
Terrible.
And we have 84 poll books, and it sounds like we've used them. So, I mean, we have devices, we've used them, we have a valid contract, at least from what I can look at here. So I would like to take another look at this to really make sure I know what I'm looking at and can come back and give you a little bit more comprehensive answer Thursday night. I guess my follow-up questions are just a quick few. We have 84 now, correct?
They're bought and paid for?
No.
No.
Any of them paid for?
No.
The first 15, yes, there are.
First 15?
15 of them were
All right.
purchased.
Yeah, that's right.
So 15 are paid for.
And by the way, the total did not exceed the $150,000, it was cleared, and also State Board of Accounts.
All right, I don't care about,
Well, they are talking about-
I don't really,
Yeah,
care.
we don't
I don't
care.
really care about that at this point, frankly. I'm looking at a contract signed by the commissioners, and we got 84 poll books. My question is, to the best of everyone sitting here, are we already contractually obligated, to your knowledge, to buy the other remaining, however many it takes to get us to 135? No?
We
All
haven't
right.
submitted.
So, to the best of your knowledge, your understanding is this contract takes us out to 2018, to the actual service portion of it?
No, not the service. The three payments of $49,000, if we would have done this year, 2016, 2017, that takes care of the poll books themselves.
Okay. Is there
And then there's
is there a maintenance portion?
There's a contract that comes up in 2016.
Okay. See, some of that stuff from what I have read, and again, I'm not going to pull any punches, it's very cursory. I'm seeing things that are going out to 2018, so, again, that's why I don't want to drill down too deep
When we say,
on this, so.
Right.
when we say contract, you mean with ES&S?
Yes.
Your contract expires in 20.
Are they honoring all aspects of our contract?
They've been here every day for training. They might be...
I'm getting shaking heads, and I'm hearing they've been here every day for training.
Well, there might have been problems, there are some problems with the updating of the data, but some of it has to do with the state system, Quest. Of course, you know, all that data, since we are going, the poll books are like per precinct, each precinct needs to have their data on it. It's just like if you have a SIM card, I mean, it's not any different than printing out a report and going through the pages, but that specific information goes on that card and gets put into and then attached to the poll book, just like a SIM card is.
You know, I would like to make one comment. We are, it sounds like you're way into a system, and I cannot, as a council person, guarantee the people of Porter County that we have a fair and adequate and sound system for voting, because we're having consistent problems. They're not user-friendly, and our poll workers are not going to change. They are what they are, and they have been consistent with that for years.
But the reports back on this machine has been the exact opposite. The reports from the VSTOP, who was an independent third party, came in and said, the problems we had in May were not the machines.
It was the people
The people were the problem.
Right,
and the
they're not
false reporting to the
user-friendly.
press. No, the false reporting to the press saying there is problems. I mean, I think the biggest problem we're having right now, you can have the best machine you can buy, but if you don't want to commit to using it and working with it, it's never going to succeed. And right now, we're having a tension.
That should attract some more volunteers. Yeah, the problem in Porter County is the people that's volunteering.
That's not what I'm saying, but what you're saying is if you want the machine to succeed, then you also have to put the effort in to make the machine succeed.
We have had a good, sound voting system, I think.
I'm sure you interpret it that way, but we've had situations where our numbers have been off substantially. I mean, I sent you the minutes. In 2010, we had problems with the M100s. We also had the individuals in January 15th, 2010. Sunday recommended that we go with the ES&S contract, and Kathy also recommended that we stay with the ES&S contract. I also sent you minutes that said Patrick said he was satisfied with ES&S. We would not, this
We're
is
not
not
here
something
tonight
that
talking about...
But we are, the ES&S is the issue, that's why I want to make sure that
No,
we're...
Karen, I'm not talking about the M100s, I'm talking about these books. Are we getting our satisfaction from ES&S when it concerns these books
Sunday,
and
you have an
training
answer
you
to that
guys
question?
and...
I just have an answer as far as, when you start any new system, when you implement, when I got my new iPhone, I didn't know what I was doing, I didn't know how to use it. It takes time. So I'm hopeful that with this second election and the more training that we have received, that this one will be better. And I'm sorry, it's 2015, it's technology-based. My son has a Chromebook for school, they don't even have paper books.
Do you think, back to her question.
Do I think what?
Her question was, do you think that we are getting from ES&S what we bargained for?
I think the poll book works. I'm not happy with ES&S's service, their team, their data team. I'm not happy.
Kathy, do you think we are getting from ES&S what we bargained for?
We've dealt with ES&S for a long time. I've always been happy with them, with the exception of they don't know our laws. Okay? A lot of the problems with the e-poll books are because they don't know our laws. Am I happy with their service? No. They stepped up to the plate, and I'll give you a specific. Our first training class, the salesman came to our class. He didn't pick up one training manual, and he didn't open up one e-poll book. He sat in the back of my 3-hour class laughing and worried about the
Just tell me,
So, do you think that's good service from a company?
maybe that's not professional, but I want to know, from the perspective of the agreement that was ratified by the commissioners, do you think that ES&S is fulfilling its obligations on the agreement? Yes or no? Dave, do you?
I think it's a new machine, we're learning the machine. With, as Sunday said, when you have a new anything, you're going to suffer with the learning curve. I think what they've shown this election, they've made an extreme effort to make sure that we're trained, trying to assist to make it work. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But, you know, as I told the vendor, your contract's up next year.
Right.
This is it. You know, it's showtime. Either you produce, or why would I come back and say, we're going to go with ES&S, even if they're the lowest bidder? I mean, does it make sense, just because it's the cheapest alternative?
We have to have something that works.
And I told him, I said, this is it. I said, it doesn't matter if I like it, it's a matter of you produce. If this election goes off and we have a bump,
So...
I think that answers everybody's
It's
question.
gonna be real hard for this body, and I'm referring to the county government, to explain to somebody why their vote got lost in the cloud. Which can, I mean, I'm not sure that's... No, the electronic part of it. Anytime there's electronics, there could be issues.
Here's my feeling on it, there's certainly, speaking with everybody, it's clear that there's an issue here, with whether it's mechanical, whether it's human. I feel, until we get that worked out, we should honor our obligation contractually, but to go out and move on to new machines before this is figured out on our end, because you said the contract's up next year. Don't obligate us anymore financially. Let's go with this, let's see if it's gonna work, and if it does at the end of this election, then super. If it doesn't, we're not out any more than we've already expended.
Scott, I'm just gonna stop. So, I would ask of you to do me a favor. Look at the contracts, give us your opinion as our council on the obligation that we as a county council have right now for, what we've got, what the cost, let me finish, Vicki. And then I want you to give me your thoughts as you read through those contracts on what maintenance things, how far out that goes, support kind of stuff. Because I don't want to spend a tremendous amount of time talking about whether we should or shouldn't if we have to.
The one question I had, we've bought 15, but we've received approximately 84.
That's correct.
So we've not paid for 70 machines roughly?
69.
Okay, when did they come? Yeah, why would they ship when I was paying for them?
Oh, come on, we're government, seriously.
Yeah.
Wait, how long have we had them?
An election.
So we've had them since the spring?
No, we've had some since last year.
But we've never paid for them?
No, we got it this year.
Okay, but we've never paid for them?
Correct. We got one, listen, it looks like the contracts on the one was March of 2014, that was 15 of them. There was another one for 40 that looks like it may have happened in February of 2015, and then there's one for 21 that looks like it may have happened in March of 15. So the lion's share was this year.
We haven't paid for it, it's October.
Well, we haven't paid for them because we didn't give her the money.
We asked for transfer twice.
We asked for the
Yeah,
transfer.
so it's not, the not paying for them part isn't...
Wasn't there, in all fairness, wasn't there also an issue that we went out and bought those before we actually had a contract?
No, there was a contract. There was a contract, but as in previous, because I do have previous
Well, when I-
contracts, they were signed by the president of the election board and not forwarded to the commissioners. And that was the policy prior to the request of the council that it becomes commissioners.
Technically, technically, we didn't have a contract, because we don't have a contract until those three individuals sign it, or at least two of them.
We've had contracts with ES&S since 2008 without commissioners signing.
Well, isn't that something?
So, you want to table this till the next...
Yeah, I'm gonna deal with this one, but Scott, I want you to...
Peel the onion back.
Yeah, give us that, read through all the contracts, ask the questions you have, the clerk and any other members of the election board, certainly ask questions of Sunday and Kathy, get us an idea of where we're at, and then let's just go from there.
Vicki has a comment.
Yes, Vicki?
And may I ask if that could also include my responsibility in his research? The election board has, please, the election board has submitted 2 claims.
We'll deal with
That's
that.
another matter. That's, no. We'll deal with that separately. We're not gonna cloud issues. Scott, because I think Scott's opinion to us is gonna naturally flow to what you need to do.
Okay.
All right, so, yeah.
Yeah, let's just do the right thing at the end of the day.
How many contracts do you have that were approved by the commissioners?
I believe 4.
Pardon me?
I believe 4.
There's only 3. Dave, how many do you, I don't know the answer, but I thought it was 3, but how many contracts were approved by the commission?
Well, I'm sorry, I'll be looking at this. I have 4 purchase orders, and I think each, I my initial look at this is each purchase order had a little bit of an addendum to the contract, so that's why it's at 4. There's one master contract
All right, we're not done yet, we have council.
with 4, there's one master contract with a purchase order, and then I believe there's 3
All right.
purchase orders with minor addendums.
Wonderful, we're gonna deal with this, talk to Kathy after the meeting, we're gonna deal with this on Thursday, and then, we'll finish up.
And before I go, Dan, I know you're in a hurry, but...
No, I'm not in a hurry, I wanna get the council one.
You know, you said it eloquently, exactly, that we were out invested in some beta system. Without consulting the county council, you've committed this county to an expense that we don't know if we can afford or not in trying something with elections. That's just fundamentally wrong, and since I've been up here for 5 years, I've had a problem with commissioners or anybody changing policy without consulting the county council, without committing this board without discussing with us. And this is huge, it's elections. So we just said, we're gonna commit the county council and the county without consulting this board first on a beta system with elections. It's just fundamentally wrong to not consult the county council when you're gonna commit this county to a large amount of money. It's wrong.
Well, as the clerk, I want you to know that it's also wrong when I return $338,000 back to the general fund, and I'm chastised for every other action that I take. And the bottom line is, this was a unanimous decision by the election board on February 13th, 2006.
I think, and if I may, all right, I get it. Here's where we're at.
It would've been nice if you came here first and said, we're going to...
Let me just say this. All right, I think we're ironing out the procedure here. I think moving forward, we've talked to the clerk's talked to us, she had her reasons, but now looking forward, I think we're all on the same sheet of music, I hope. I don't want to spend a tremendous amount of time on that, and I don't want to be in a situation at this point where we are legally obligated and we are saying no because maybe reasons other than we have some justiciable, defensible reason for saying no. So, you're right, the procedure could have been better, and we need to make it better, and looking forward, particularly since we're tightening our belts to the end of 2016, we need to be all in the loop, but that train has left the station. So, we'll revisit this on Thursday. I anticipate it being just as much fun as it was tonight, so, put on your party shoes, and, thanks a lot for coming.
So there's no action we'll do
We'll just deal with it on Thursday, second or third.
Please do not buy anymore.
Thank you.
Well, they can't,
We
so,
haven't bought any.
we got Thursday.
Thank God.
All right, so, cool. Scott, do you want to talk to anybody here tonight, or do you, because we have the council thing to do real quick.
Let's see what we gotta do for the council.
They can talk all they want.
Yeah. All right, that's fine, thanks a lot, guys. Let's see. So we got this here, council budget. 174, 275, what's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
We have a motion, is there a second? Second. Any discussion?
Is council paid enough?
You cut her, pay honest.
That's why, at the end.
I'm happy for whatever you,
Well, okay, let's fall his way. All right. 174, 275, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed? Good night.